I'm looking at these divisions, and I did not like the division transition, especially with the 56 game NHL. Gary Bettman decided to go 56 games instead of 82 games. The NBA stuck with the 82 games. Gary Bettman decided to move it to 56. I really love what Gary Bettman did throughout the playoffs, especially the round robin that he did. It made a lot of sense. I didn't like what the NBA did. I love what Gary Bettman did. But the way he set up these divisions, the Honda West, the Mass Mutual East, they're terrible names, first of all. I have no idea. And then you look at the divisions. The Islanders, and we're here in New York, the Islanders and the Rangers got robbed. Look at the division they're in. You got Boston, New Jersey, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh, Washington. You have like 4 teams. Only 3 teams out of each division make it. And then you look at your division right now. I mean, does it make any sense to you on what the NHL is trying to do? Anaheim, Arizona, Colorado, Los Angeles, Minnesota, San Jose, St. Louis, Vegas. The Vegas Knights are the most talented team in that division. There's no question that they are. But then you have Colorado, an up-and-coming team. You have San Jose, who a lot of people are going to be have said they're going to be very good this year, especially with the talent they have. And then there's St. Louis that won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago. Does this division transition make any sense to you?
It makes sense. You know, they're trying to cut down on the travel. And one of the guys that covers the Golden Knights, they're actually sinbin.com. They're a pretty good independent website that covers the team as well. And he put a tweet out that showed exactly how many miles they're saving in travel. And it's insane. It's over 30,000 miles that are saved in travel from a typical schedule, you know, with the teams that they would have went to visit. So you get what he was doing there. And I also realized in each division, it looks like the top half of the division is pretty set on who the best 4 teams are
It's terrible.
and who the lower teams are. So I think it was a way to say, hey, we're going to get these 16 teams in the playoffs, and it'll be fun to watch, and we'll know these teams are in there. But there are a couple question marks and a couple teams that could surprise you, and one of those you left out of the new East Division, and they're right in New York with you. I know you guys don't look upstate, but
Buffalo
did some good things, and I'd be surprised if Buffalo wasn't in that 4 or 5 seed in the East. Despite how good that division is, Buffalo looks like they did some good stuff. But, yeah, Vegas is guaranteed a playoff spot, as much as you don't want to say guaranteed. But between Vegas, Colorado, St. Louis, that's 1, 2, 3 right there. Unless COVID hits somebody real hard, that's 1, 2, 3 easy. The 4th spot is where the real question comes. Is it Minnesota? Is it a team like Anaheim, who's done a lot of good things, had a lot of good young players coming up? They brought Kevin Shattenkirk in, which is a big move for the locker room. So that 4th spot will be real interesting. You know, the Wild should get it, but then again, they're the Wild. They'll do wild things, and you know, we'll see what happens there. But it'll be real interesting to see how 4 through 8 shakes out in the West. But yeah, 1, 2, 3 should, in my opinion, 1, 2, 3, and I'll put it out there, and some people will hate me for it, but. I'm going Colorado, St. Louis, Vegas, 1, 2, 3. St. Louis adding Mike Hoffman is just insane. That's like your older brother who got all the good gifts, you know, all the years that you weren't alive, you know, and then you were born and you're the baby and now you start getting some stuff, but he steals it from you. So St. Louis is like that older brother who's just got so many things already. And then, oh, here's Mike Hoffman, a 30-goal scorer. Let's bring him in on a tryout, and then we'll sign him to a year for $4 million. Why not? That's just insane to me. Mike Hoffman he's insanely good, and putting him on that St. Louis team is ridiculous. They lose Alex Pietrangelo. They get Torrey Krug. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, Armstrong needs to stop being so good at his job because it's almost not fair to the other GMs. It's insane. That team's just constantly replenishing. He got Perron back, like I said, a couple years ago, and Perron's been great for them. It's just, I mean, if I put on a Blues jersey, odds are I'm going to be at least a 4th liner at the AHL level. So it's something about that Blues logo, something about being in St. Louis is doing things for people because that team just, when they lose, they still can't lose because they pick up another good 2-3 players. So Vegas will be good. I think there's going to be a depth issue as far as their forwards are concerned. The support scoring is going to be up in the air. It will be a question mark between Cody Glass, Alex Tuch on that 3rd line. And Tuch is still going back and forth with some injury issues. So if they could get a big year out of Cody Glass and Alex Tuck, and if they make a good third line, then Vegas is a real scary team. But if they just continue to be the Pacioretty Stone line, and then Riley Smith and William Karlsson doing what they can do on the second line, they can only make it so far. I think a team like St. Louis and a team like Colorado is just a little too dangerous if you don't have that third line providing a real scoring punch for you.
Well, Jeff, if any of these teams need a mascot, we have them right over here. This would be the perfect mascot for any one of those teams. I mean, look at them. I mean, you put on a woman's dress or something. You can skate out on the ice. I mean, a woman with a big long beard and looks like a werewolf.
So I'm basically the female version of Gritty, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, yes, Gritty female.
You know what? That could work in Vegas because I've seen a lot of guys that look like him wearing dresses out on the strip. So they might be in the market for it. They've already got a Gila monster, which makes no sense because I guess it's a desert animal. Yeah. And they got a crazy British guy that runs around in armor, which is pretty cool. And he's actually a pretty cool guy I've met a number of times. But I mean, I'm sure they'd be willing to add you to the mix. They've got, the old school showgirls done up with the whole headdress and everything. They've got Elvis impersonators running around that building. So once they open the doors back up, I'd tell you to fire off an application, send them an email, and see if you can get in there. You might have to shave your legs and keep the beard, one or the other, but whatever gets you in the door, gets you in the door.
Well, we know he's not going to make the team. As talented as that team is, he's definitely not making the team. That's for sure.
He could be the sixth defenseman. Which actually brings up a funny, an interesting thing. This morning they told us that for opening night tomorrow, they're running 13 forwards, 5 defensemen.
Oh my God!
That's going to be something to watch because. And Pete DeBoer specifically mentioned the salary cap crunch, which bringing in a Pietrangelo gave them. I mean, I don't know how the money wouldn't have worked out with one of the young defensemen, Nick Hague, who played the first half of the season in Zach Whitecloud's spot. When Whitecloud was healthy, he got his legs under him. He came and took over the spot, but maybe they just didn't want to go two young defensemen on that third pair. But it looks like Whitecloud's going to rotate in as that fifth guy with an emphasis on trying to get Pietrangelo, trying to get Shea Theodore as much ice time as possible because, I mean, honestly, if you watch a lot of Vegas hockey, it is a real question on who the best defenseman is, Alex Pietrangelo or Shea Theodore.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I've never seen a team do 13-5 like that. We've seen 2 teams do 11-7 before. Tampa does it the most with 7 defensemen. That's an interesting reverse.
No, I've watched the Flyers do it a million times and I cringe at it. I'd rather go 5 than 7.
So a question as somebody who worked for an expansion team with Vegas, they've been in the league now for 4 years. We have another one coming in the Seattle Kraken, Errol's favorite name.
Oh, my God. So how could you name a team the Krakens? I would have called him the Seattle Grunge. I mean, that's where grunge rock is from. Why would you name him the Krakens?
That was one of the names that was up. Wasn't that one of the names that they were considering?
I don't think so.
I think Seattle Nirvana was one of them.
Nirvana, but it wasn't the grunge.
Yeah. So I just want to ask, as somebody who's worked as in an expansion team, 1, how do you think it'll work in Seattle over there? And 2, do you think the expansion draft strategy in terms of protecting and holding players like we saw with Vegas will change because of how well Vegas has done?
I really feel bad for the Seattle franchise because Vegas did so good. And George McPhee fleeced those other GMs so badly. Mm-hmm. I think Seattle is just screwed. I don't think anybody's going to deal with Seattle unless it's a case where it's a really, really highly coveted piece that they can't protect, that they have to protect. But I really don't think Seattle's going to have much help from the other GMs because Vegas took it to the Cup final. You know how many teams have been begging to get to the Cup final? I mean, Seattle's going to have a tough go trying to get teams to help them because Vegas did a great job of it. We haven't really seen those draft picks pan out. I mean, they've panned out as far as making trades and making things happen. Cody Glass was the closest thing we're getting to see to one of their draft picks, but that was originally their draft pick. So we really haven't seen a payoff as far as the picks that they got, but we have seen where they ended up. And obviously teams will be a little hesitant to set up Seattle for as much success, especially the teams in their division.
Well, Marc-Andre Fleury might be going to another expansion team, the Kraken.
That would be interesting. I think he's got a no move with Vegas. I'm not sure the exact details of it, if he would be susceptible to something like that, but we'd have to look and see what happens there. But yeah, who knows? Maybe he'd waive it to go there like he did for Vegas, and he gets built up as the celebrity he was built up to be here because, like I said, if he lets in a goal, people pretend it didn't happen. So he might want that energy again. He might want to go to Seattle and put another 3-4 years on his career, get another contract extension. Who knows what could happen?
Was there ever a player that did that, like in the 90s? Like maybe they were with Anaheim and then with Columbus or something like that. I don't remember that case.
Yeah, we'd have to look that up. I don't remember those expansions too well, or even the Wild and all that.
The Florida Panthers. John Van Beesbroek, he was traded to Vancouver 93 at the end of 93. He went to Vancouver. It just so happens he was sent to the expansion draft. He went to Florida. He could have played the Rangers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Who knows? Vancouver could have won the Stanley Cup in 94 if Van Beesbroek was playing. And then he goes, and 3 years later, goes to the Stanley Cup Finals and gets swept by the Colorado Avalanche. So there you go.
That's an exciting team to watch this season is Vancouver. I'm interested to see how they do in the North Division, the Canada Division, if you will. But yeah, Vancouver's an interesting team too. It'll be a fun year of hockey, that's for sure.
Jeff, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
I actually just changed my Twitter handle. I hope I'm getting it right. You can find me at jpaul_HB, I believe it is. You can also find me on Facebook at JeffPaulVGK. And always check out hockeybuzz.com. I'm not the only guy on there. We've got writers for every team. I'd say about 85% of them are pretty good. I don't know what percentage I'm putting myself in. I think I'm 1 foot on each side, but you can at least read the stuff. You can argue with me in the comment sections, and you know how comment sections can get. So I'm always looking for people to get on there, read my stuff, tell me how stupid I am, and then we can have fun watching hockey. But I'm live tweeting every game, so anything that happens during the games, we can talk about together, just have a good time, be interactive with it, because I only get so much entertainment out of typing to my laptop. I really like telling people that I'm right all the time and they're wrong all the time and arguing with them. So that's what I get out of Twitter. So come over there, argue with me, tell me I'm dumb. I don't live with my mom anymore, so I don't get that very often. So if you could just get in there, tell me my writing's bad, tell me that I'm wrong about stuff, just go for it.
Well, Jeff, thank you for joining us. We'd love to get you on in the middle of the season. We'll talk a little bit of Vegas hockey, your thoughts of where Vegas is in the middle of the season. So we definitely like to get you on again.
Yeah, and I'll have to listen in and see what you think about the Knicks again. I was pretty entertained listening to the first part of that.